Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Mecha BREAK. Mecha BREAK is a new IP developed by Kingsoft's subsidiary, Amazing Seasun Games. Its aim is to provide a solid mecha shooter experience packaged as a free-to-play game in a live service environment. Did they do a good job for their first entry in this IP? Let's start by looking at the gameplay and find out. The gameplay of Mecha BREAK lets you choose from one of 15 different strikers, or mechs. Each striker has different abilities and stats, ranging from fast to slow combat, long range or close range, and melee or guns. Think of it like each mech is a quote-unquote hero in a hero shooter. You'll partner up with other players in either a 3v3 or 6v6 mode, with the usual game modes like Team Deathmatch, Push the Payload, or Domination. There's also an extraction shooter mode where you gear up the mech of your choosing and drop into a map called Moshmok. It's on this island where you'll want to fight some enemies, loot some gear, and attempt to extract. If you manage to extract, some of the loot can be sold on the player-driven auction house, where items can be bought with the game's real money currency. All in all, the gameplay has things you'd expect from a live service shooter, just with solid mech gameplay rather than boots on the ground. So is there any story in this? There is a minimal story to go alongside the game that acts as a premise to the setting. In this universe, there's a carbon silicon mineral called korite, which becomes the savior and downfall of mankind. On one hand, it solves Earth's energy crisis, but on the other hand, it's found to have huge pollution side effects. There's some sci-fi mystery surrounding the effects of korite, but as of right now, the story is not very detailed, and most players will therefore ignore it. Though there is a chance that in a future update, they will expand the story. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat? Are you a fan of mecha anime, Chris? I don't think I've ever asked you that question.
No, I don't watch anime, so I can't answer that question. I'm not,
Right.
I mean, when it comes around, the last I think I watched was Seven Deadly Sins, but that was kind of
well, then
very odd.
You watched anime then, Chris. Come on.
I want Pokemon, but then someone's going to slash me in the comments. You just said Pokemon anime. I don't know. Digimon. I skipped the Dragon Ball Z era, but go on, Henry.
That's okay, even if you don't watch mecha anime, because you can just play this game. It basically pulls you into the action of a mech anime. It's got the scene, the action, everything.
Yeah, I agree with you, Henrik. I feel like Mecha BREAK is what happens when anime, Michael Bay, and a Slayer mosh pit at the center of a collapsing planet all get crammed in orbit and rain pure chaos onto your gaming device. If korite is both saving and destroying the planet, Henrik, is it technically the world's most toxic X? I mean, what the hell's going on? I mean, is this another game that's trying to educate us politically? I mean, oh my gosh, the world's getting polluted, and they're also utilizing it for the same time for the badness of humanity, but also it is the new carbon energy. What is it, Henrik? They also think, Superman's, oh gosh, I guess that's a political story too in the end. Oh no.
Hey, but you know what? This game actually really surprised me because it's a brand new IP. Don't even know the developers personally until this game came out. And it actually has very, very solid mech gameplay. Like this game basically scratches the same itch that Armored Core 6 did for me. It's a little more arcadey, a little easier to get into. Armored Core 6 is a little bit of a harder game, and it's single player mostly.
That's very Yep.
But it's just a very surprisingly polished gameplay experience from a new developer, and it blew me away from the very get-go of that intro cinematic where you're coming down the side of the space elevator with the music playing in the background. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that was a very interesting choice of music for this kind of style of game, though. I was not anticipating that. I was like, what the hell is going on? I mean, especially since, after humanity messes around with the mysterious mineral called korite, right? Which is basically cosmic glitter with a god complex. It's now spreading across the earth like it's on a mission to redecorate permanently, right? So, did you feel as though the Mecha BREAK built up the hype of humanity in danger, or just looking for an excuse to cosplay in titanium?
You know what? To put it simply, the story, in one word, I can call it irrelevant.
It does feel like that. It really does.
Because really, I mean, they have the chance to add more later on. I'm sure they're probably even thinking about it, but definitely the highlight is going to be the gameplay for this title, and it's not really so much about the story. I mean, yeah, they kind of give you that premise at the beginning, but
Well,
gameplay is
remember the
really
first
their
tutorial
focus.
boss is so stupid easy. Well, Warren or something like
Oh
that. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, is this what this game's gonna be like? Oh, please. Hopefully it's not like that. And then all of a sudden you see this boss that's called Makalu. And then I always love the descriptions that they show you right before you get into the boss battle. I read that it said 53 meters, right? I wanted to know how tall
Mhm.
53 meters was, Henrik. You would have to stack 24 Shaquille O'Neals on top of each other. That's how high
Yep.
the magnitude of this game that it's trying to bring, because you got to either adapt, escape, or go full metal renegade. Okay. So either way, you're going to grab your striker of choice and then you're joining Shadow or some gothic band because they thought it was really cool to turn it into an acronym. I don't know. But, diplomacy is out in a giant robot brawl is all within its magnitude. I'm kind of curious on what kind of striker you rolled with. I started with Stego. I know it's kind of a
Oh, okay.
controversial choice because he's kind of an absolute unit in the
Yeah,
mech world,
yeah,
right?
it's like the one of the bigger mechs for sure. It's kind of just rolling around the battlefield,
Yeah,
throwing missiles at people, and
turret
that's all you
chucking,
do.
armor
Yeah,
taking. He's like a
yeah.
glorified space refrigerator that hates everyone that wants to stand in his way, right? But then
Yeah.
again, I've heard some people complain that there's a bit of a misbalance with them. Sounds like a skill issue to me. But then
Hey, you
I
know
want to
what?
know.
Yeah, it definitely is because I felt like I didn't play Stego that much. I actually felt more drawn to Narukami, the light sniper that can cloak,
Nice.
or I'd
Yeah, I
go
love that.
to Falcon, the light flyer that could just fly around and dominate the skies and terrorize Narukamis or other you know characters like Stego who can't
Yep.
even keep up with me in the first.
Well, I think that's what's really cool. You get
Shows I was gonna say that shows such a great part of the gameplay. Though there's such variety of choice that you can choose to play a character that's very agile and mobile, or you can choose a striker like Stego that's all
Mhm.
about just dominating the floor of the battlefield, and you can still be successful in either one.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that, like hero mech kind of combat in a sense. You definitely get the
Mhm.
choices of a sniper, like you just referenced, blasting heads off, or you could be smashing faces in as a brawler, or just stress healing everyone as a support, right? I think that's
Yeah.
really, really cool. And from the jump, it feels like you're fighting Megatron in space. And then, like you said, the soundtrack flips into like a full anime fight club mode. Like, I was totally surprised. Like, it felt like we were dropping into a late night rerun of Gundam. Like, I have no idea what the hell was kicking in. But then you are jumping into like 3 different modes, right? I think it's really
Yeah.
cool. You got the 3 versus 3 Ace Arena death match, or you're going to be juggling missiles in 6 versus 6 Operation Verge. But I think Mecha Break kind of has it all. I mean, did you vibe with even the third one, which was Operation Storm, which brings looting, surviving, and praying your boosters don't crap out midair, all in one game mode?
I'm not a big extraction shooter person, but I gave it a try, and I actually did enjoy it. It's a different pacing than majority of the extraction shooters out there, which make you feel very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, yeah, you're still vulnerable, but because of the fact that you're in a mech and the time to kill is a lot higher as just a baseline compared to other like boots on the ground soldier type
Yep.
extraction shooters, you feel like, yeah, even if you get the jump on someone, they could easily just run away and come back and then screw you over somehow. And
Let me
it definitely
guess.
happened to me a couple times.
Yeah, no, we all went through that same, hardship, right? I have a feeling
Yeah.
that you were really vibing with the most, if I had to guess, Ace Arena. I think that would for
The
me was
3v3.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
the death match.
Yeah.
So like the maps are a little bit smaller. It's the best way to like really jump into the full action and potential for
Hmm.
what this game can bring. And yeah, I think it's very, very exciting. But like visually, how did you feel about it? I kind of thought, you know, it kind of reminded me of like Sonic Frontier, a little bit with that kind of style of graphics. I mean, yeah, it was kind of cool in the beginning to see those crimson clouds and glowing pulse storms, cities torn apart by mech warfare. But, then again, the game kind of feels like a synthwave concert and a cyberpunk disaster. But how did you feel when you were designing your mech? Is yours looking like a war machine or a sentient energy drink that just listens to dubstep?
Funny enough, I first customized Narukami, and I was
Okay.
like, what's a mech, like a famous mech that I can customize this to? Oh, I got it. We're gonna use a design from Evangelion because why not? So it's
Yeah.
got purples and greens and yellows with a little hint of red thrown in there. Uh, and I actually really like the customization of being able to customize every little detail of the mech's paint job. That is basically what any mech fan is going to want is, just spend all their time customizing the paint job of their mech. At the same time, though, I have to criticize the monetization a little bit. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, it's
can't you
very
agree that it's a
troublesome.
little outrageous to charge about $48 for a skin pack?
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest flaw, and I think that if they're gonna want to continue with their missions and trying to make it like an effort to try to make it so free to play gamers want to be able to get the next hero, because that's kind of what it's setting up to be, right? It feels like it's
Hmm.
gonna be the next like Apex Legends kind of setup. They're gonna release every 2 or 3 months like a new mech, and if you want to be involved, you want to play as that person, you're gonna have to throw down money, or you're gonna be having to invest 3 years into the game just to finally get one free mech.
Yeah.
And that's really crummy and scummy,
Hmm.
and something that we've speaked on in the past is very, very problematic. And I know they're already feeling the backlash. You can see it in the Steam reviews. All right, I mean,
Yeah, it's sitting
people
at
are,
mixed mostly because of that.
yeah, but then you can also see a lot of people vibing with the gameplay, but then they're like, it's not gonna make me want to return in the future if this is how they're gonna move it forward. Supposedly the
Yeah.
developers are looking into this. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it those are the things that kill. I mean, but we see it all the time with their Call of
Hmm.
Duty, Fortnite, you name it. It's just
Yeah.
this is where we're going. If you embrace more free to play games, developers got to find ways to keep those servers afloat or make it even worthwhile in their end. So I definitely understand it, but not $48. Don't understand that.
Yeah.
$15, $10. Okay, now you win me over. But like, sure, going even back to the gameplay, balancing needs some WD-40, right, Henrik? I mean, you're occasionally
Mhm.
flopping around like a dying fish with your energy bar that hits zero. But at times, I feel like that does add to the drama. You're going to suit up, blast off, and get ready to stomp out your enemies like an aluminum can in Mecha BREAK. Because for me, Henrik, even with that monetization issue, I find it to be a repeat. It's very, very refreshing. I feel like everybody that hasn't been able to jump in, you got to go. You got to do it now.
Mhm.
But then again, are you ejecting early or are you willing to fight another day, Henrik?
I do really want this game to succeed. And while I don't agree with the monetization and I won't partake in it myself,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I really enjoy this gameplay. They really have a gem here when it comes to what they've built. And yeah, I would hate to see them ruin it with just a bad taste of
Yeah.
poor monetization, if I can say the word.
Oh yeah, it's just a scummy word. We feel
Exactly.
like
Just to get
I
that out
feel
of
like
my
we have a
mouth.
bar of soap in our mouth. You know what I mean? Every time we hear that
Yeah,
word, we're like, oh no. It's like when people say
exactly.
moist, right? I bet
Yeah.
everybody's just, oh no, they keep
Why
using
did
it with
you
soap.
say
I
that?
don't, oh, it's screeching in my ear. We don't
Yeah,
stop playing Fortnite. We don't stop playing Apex Legends. We don't stop playing Call of Duty Warzone just because of the massive monetization. You still return
exactly.
in on it just because it's got a
So yeah,
crappy
it,
setup. You know,
it's a repeat for me because of that. The gameplay is going to make me come back.
yeah, it's very fast paced. Get ready to join along for the ride and let us know in the comments what mech are you joining? Are you going to be with Stego or are you going to be joining along with what Henrik's rocking? Are you going to be rocking a Falcon? Let us know what's
Oh,
good
you
in
know
the
what's up.
end, right?